on Skype, we have today with us Jean Corter, if I'm pronouncing her last name right. Her ex-husband and the father of their 4 U.S. citizen children, Jean Montrevil, who came to the United States 32 years ago, is now being held in detention in Miami, Florida, and is about to be deported to Haiti momentarily, within hours, days, or a few days from now. Now, Jean, the history quickly is Jean was charged when he came here as a young teenager. His father left him on the streets, and he was arrested one time in his entire life. There he is, with apparently a small amount of cocaine in an apartment where he was with his friends. And back in the 1990s, small drug offenses, they put young black men in jail for decades for small drug offenses.
His first offense.
First offense. And the drugs apparently were in the apartment that he was in, not even physically on him. He was sentenced to 33 years in jail for this as a young man who just came here to America. He served 11 years, was sent for deportation in 1994. His lawyer did not show up to his deportation hearing, so he was ordered deported because he didn't know what to say or do. He stayed another 4 years in detention. He was finally released. Immigration, for whatever reasons, let him go. Didn't come to deport him. He came out of detention, started a business in Brooklyn, which we'll get into, met Jeanne, started a family, 4 U.S. citizen children, one of whom has gone through cancer treatments as a young child. By all accounts, has been an upstanding father, an upstanding businessman, has started a family, and is contributing not only to his family but to society as well. And immigration now has just literally picked him up, put him in jail, and is about to deport him for a crime he committed as a young man. And let's say he did it. It was a small amount of cocaine in an apartment where he was physically in 35 years ago. They allowed him the tragedy of all this is they allowed him to live a life,
right,
and make 4 U.S. citizen children, have a U.S. citizen wife, start a whole family, and then rip him apart from them 35 years later. Janae, who do we have here on Skype?
Janae.
Janae and Josiah. How are you?
I'm good, and you? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Who is Janae? Who's Josiah?
I'm Janae with the fur.
Yo. All right, and then we have in another picture there, that's a picture of Jean. Squeeze, do you want to start? Shannon, do you want to start?
Shannon, I'll give you the honors of starting.
My name is Shannon Mingrad. How are you? Did Jean come to America legally?
Yes, he came here as a legal permanent resident with a green card. Jean is a twin. He has a twin sister named Rose. She lives in Atlanta. His father married someone who sponsored him to come to the U.S.
And how old was he when he came to the U.S.?
He came to the U.S. at the age of 17. Jean lost his mom at the age of 9. When his father sponsored him to come here, he just let them fend for themselves. He felt that I brought you to America, now you figure it out.
So how did he get caught up in the criminal system?
He got caught up in a criminal system hanging out with the wrong crowd. Because Jean and his friend were both arrested the same day for the same drug offense in Virginia. Virginia is a Commonwealth state.
And this was in the 1980s, is that correct?
Yeah, 1989.
Uh-huh.
And his friend tried to tell them that the stuff belonged to him, but they charged both of them with the crime. They deported his friend, and Jean's still here. Jean was released from the federal penitentiary in 2001 to federal parole. He reported to his federal parole every month as they asked him. He received a letter maybe a month before his parole would have been over, stating that they was going to release him from parole early for good behavior, only for me to receive a phone call saying that ICE staged it. It was a bust. They stated that he should have never been released to the U.S. soil. He should have been deported.
So what is your background? Tell us about your background.
I'm born to an American mother and a Jamaican father.
And you have 4 U.S. citizen children. What are their ages?
Jean had a son from a previous relationship. His oldest son is 27. My oldest daughter is 19. My son Josiah went through the treatment. He's 14. And our youngest daughter is 2 years old.
And to me, the tragedy is that they didn't deport him. They let him come back into the United States, live here. All of these children were born after he was released from prison, after ICE did not go to deport him. They allowed him to have a whole family here, have a 19-year-old, 4 children with you, a home, a business, and now 25, 30 years later, for one drug offense that he may or may not have committed, that he was spent 11 years in jail for, they now say, get out of the country, and you and your family will never be the same again.
Can you explain?
Absolutely.
How does that make you feel?
It's a disgrace. It's jeopardy. When Jean was serving his time, the law is not even in effect. They run the laws against immigrants retroactively. So you have people 60, 70 years old facing deportation for crimes that they committed in the 70s, 60s. To me, that's very unfair. And he has a pending case at the Border Immigration of Appeals. His check-in wasn't until the 16th of this month. They actually was watching him go back and forth to work. They waited until he came out on his lunch break, because not only do he have his own business, he works for a hospital in Long Island where he transports doctors back and forth to different hospitals.
Okay.
So he had
They
a
picked
check-in.
him up.
He had a check-in for the 16th of this month?
Yeah, he had a check-in.
And that's where they picked him up.
No, but she said they picked him up in front of...
Oh, they didn't pick him up at the check-in.
No.
Yeah, they
Where
didn't
did-
give him a chance.
Where
They
did they
didn't
pick
even
him
give
up?
him a chance to go to the check-in. And the director of immigration, Mr. Thomas Decker, he had a relationship with Thomas Decker. He has a relationship with the Jean's attorneys, and his support system has stated that he was not going to detain Jean again until his case receives a decision. And as soon as Thomas Decker went on vacation, Scott Mekowitz revoked his supervision and went to his house to pick him up. They cuffed him, they pat him down. Thank God they didn't do a good search, because he had a cell phone and he was able to text me with handcuffs on his wrist, letting me know that ICE picked him up.
Squeeze?
Wow. Now, children are very fragile. Is this taking a toll on the kids? How is it affecting them?
Yeah, it's taking a big toll on them, because Josiah, he's a brain tumor survivor. He has to go get brain MRIs every 6 months to make sure the tumor is not coming back. And he was already struggling to remain focused in school, because he tells his guidance counselor it's hard to focus on school when you don't know whether or not your dad is going to be there.
You know.
So he-
I got a question, a
Yeah.
follow-up question, Elizabeth. My question for the attorneys here, considering that the child is going through this situation, isn't there anything that the attorneys can do to help in this situation, seeing that this child is going to suffer even more
Well,
without
the
his father being
The
around?
question I was going to ask, which answers your question, is whether or not a stay of removal was filed.
Yeah, they filed an emergency stay of removal, but the chances of ICE
Yeah.
doing that is going to be slim to none, because Jean is considered one of the big immigrants in New York City who speaks out on unjust laws. So his lawyer filed courts in the federal government trying to get to halt like an injunction. So we're waiting for a decision from that.
You know, Squeeze, I had an opportunity to speak to Josiah earlier today before he went to school.
That's a kid.
And we have a video of that.
All right,
And
what-
this is the child who had cancer. Thank God he's okay now, but has to be checked every 6 months. And what people have to understand is his father will never be able to come back and visit this boy again. Okay, once he leaves the United States of America and gets deported. And this child can never go live with his father in Haiti. even if he wanted to, because they don't have the medical
support.
so basically, this child is now going to be fatherless for the rest of his life for a crime that the father committed 35 years ago for being in a room with drugs, did 11 years in jail, and the government just chose never to deport him, and 35 years later decides, after he has a family, a business, to go send him home, because this is what the Trump administration wants. Let's see Josiah.
Okay.
Hi Josiah, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
So you're 14, I understand?
Yeah.
So you're in
Yes.
you're in ninth grade?
Yeah.
Ninth grade. So what year were you born?
I was born in November 2003.
2003. So you were born well after all this stuff happened with your dad, right?
Yeah.
So what have you heard? You know your dad's in deportation. What have you heard about this? Tell us what you know about it.
I've heard that they're thinking about deporting him back to Haiti, and once he gets there, he's gonna have to get interviewed by Haitian government, and then a family member must sign and pick him up. But since he doesn't have any family down there, he's either gonna have to pay or go to jail. But since he doesn't have any money, it's more likely that he's gonna go to jail down there. And it's just sad because they're like trying to make money off of the criminal deportees.
That's very true. So what does this mean to you? How has this been affecting you?
That would mean that I'd lose my father, and he's the one who pushes me so hard to make sure that I get into like the top schools and try my best in school.
And do your friends know what's going on?
Yeah.
And how have they been? Have they been supportive of you?
Yeah, they've been sharing the petition and trying to get more signatures. And just yesterday, me and some of my friends were working on getting it set up, making posters to hang up around my school that would also have a QR code that they could scan.
And when was the last time you saw your father?
Last time I saw him was about a couple days before he got detained.
And he.
So that was on like Saturday.
Okay, but you have not seen him since he's been detained.
No.
And have you spoken to him since he's been detained?
I've spoken to him maybe once or twice.
And what has he told you when he was in detention?
He told me to just make sure I try and get more signatures and just to stay focused on school and make sure to do my best to make him proud.
Are you worried for him?
A little bit.
Yeah. And have you ever been to Haiti?
No.
You've never been. I guess, would you be anxious to go to Haiti to visit him? If you were to be deported?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And let me ask you one last question. Your father, tell us about your relationship with him.
We have a close relationship. Like, whenever I need help, he's always there to help me. And, like, if I say I need help in school, he'll always try and find a tutor that can help me so that I can make sure to learn everything I need to know in case there's, like, a big test coming up.
And what did he do for a living? Do you know what he did for a living, how he made money?
He worked for a driving service which drove people around and would take them to, like, prisons to go so that they could go see their family.
Okay. And he worked long hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother.
And have they and you discussed this amongst yourselves? What's going on?
I've talked to my sisters, but it's my stepbrother, so I haven't really talked to him that much.
Mm-hmm. Has anybody in school, any of the teachers, have you spoken to the teachers about this, or have they given you any sort of counselors to help you in school?
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of teachers, and I've emailed the principal and the like vice principal and dean, so that they could try and help.
And how do you feel this morning, knowing that it's possible your father's going to get deported to Haiti? He's not going to be able to live with you in your home anymore. You feel anxious, frustrated, angry, scared? Tell us how you feel.
I feel scared and like upset because it's kind of atrocious what they're doing, like splitting up families due to a drug offense that he committed years ago while he was still in Haiti, and he already had served his time there, and it was only a minor offense.
Yeah. Well, it was a minor offense, and back in the day, for minor drug offenses, they would put people in jail for years and years and years. And certainly, your father is getting punished again and again and again for something that he may or may not have done. Who knows? But even if he did it, he certainly doesn't deserve the punishment that he's getting. Your family certainly doesn't deserve the punishment that he's getting. You're a very strong man. You're a very smart young man. I don't know how this is going to work out. I'm not his attorneys. We're just finding out about this now. And of course, we wish you and the family and him all the best, and hope it has a happy ending.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. All right. Good luck in school today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job there, Mr. B.
Thank you.
All right, great job in interviewing a wonderful kid. My question to the family here on hand is, what is Jean going back to in Haiti after his deportation? What could he possibly be going to Haiti to do? What is he going to do? How is he going to develop a life? And how is that going to affect the relationship between him and you guys? How do you feel about all this?
It's sad. He doesn't have no family there. All of his siblings are here. So he's going to go from being a provider to a dependent. He's going to require help. When he was providing help, Jania's in college. She has a big college bill that's due for the spring semester. He didn't even get a chance to pay it because they detained him.
Right. Jania, what do you have to say about all of this? You haven't been doing much talking. How do you feel?
I feel like what's going on is not.
We're breaking
I'm
up.
breaking up. Can you speak closer to the microphone?
Yeah.
You guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
now we can.
Yes, I just feel like there's people not problem for me. Like,
Yeah, her connection is bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not hearing you. And I know you have a lot to say. If you can just get very close to the microphone, even if we don't see your face.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
now we
we can
can.
hear
Go
you,
ahead.
Okay. Like, unfortunately, Jemiah, I don't think she really gets it because she's only 10 and she doesn't remember that much. But Josiah, he's really understanding it now. And, like, I was watching the news last night and a lot of immigration talk is going on.
Yeah.
And the way people talk is just like, you're not dealing with humans. Like, they keep referring to them, oh, we can just send them back to their country. Like, it's not a person you're actually dealing with who's formed a life in America already, who has family.
Well,
So when they decide that they want to just, up and take somebody, it's like, do you really think about what you're doing and the repercussions behind it?
I think that's very powerful, and I think what you're doing as a family and showing that you're a human being. This is a human being, and look what this policy is doing. It's so easy to say, "You suck, get out," until you see what's happening. And I can tell you, as an immigration attorney, what I have noticed from many people, in my dealings, not as an immigration attorney, but just walking around as a human being, is that Americans say, a lot of Americans say, not everybody, a lot of Americans say, kick the immigrants out, except this one. I know them. They're really nice. I like them. Okay, so when people get to know people as a human being, which is what hopefully we're trying to do here, you see, hey, what's happening here is wrong.
Okay, it's to humanize the
Correct.
whole concept.
Correct.
And so people can understand what's going on. If you could just tell us what's going on, because you said there was an appeal or some motion in the Board of Immigration Appeals. What argument is being presented to help him?
That he had inadequate legal representation, and there's a lot of flaws in his case.
Okay, so ineffective representation. Counsel.
Yes.
Assistance of counsel.
Yes, that would probably be the. Oh, I don't know why we're getting a feedback. But that would be the only.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is that, which is really sad, that's why everyone's so upset with the Trump administration, is prosecutorial discretion. That's what kept him here for so long, is because he hasn't gotten in trouble. I've been told that he hasn't been arrested. He has a family now, he has a business, he's working, he's paying taxes. And this is something that happened 30 years ago. I mean, there are times I go into court and the judge says, hey, this happened so long ago, I'm going to terminate the case. And prosecutorial discretion is like, we're not going to have this person deported because he's not a threat to national security. He's not a threat to public society. And that's unfortunate that Trump said no more of that.
And you know what we're not hearing about from any politician when they're talking about immigration reform? Here's a perfect example of immigration reform. Somebody who's actually reformed themselves and has a family here who already paid his debt to society more than he should have for a small drug offense shouldn't be ripped apart from his family, sent home, deported. That's immigration reform. Immigration reform is not rip apart families.
Which is what I argue all the time. It's about keeping families together. That is basically what the immigration laws are about. It's to make sure that we keep families united. And in this case, it makes no sense that they would pick him up before his order of supervision, as you said, almost kind of like stake him out and basically pick him up in front of family and friends. It's almost as though he did something wrong, and he didn't.
Well,
Exactly.
I just wanted to say thanks.
So what have you heard? What's the most recent thing that you've heard from your attorneys? What is the status of where he is at this very moment?
One thing that I know, his case has been pending in the BIA for about 6 months. His attorney did say once they detain you, the case goes a little faster.
That's correct.
Right.
And ICE plays very crooked. They're not supposed to, but I wouldn't put it past them that they're talking negatively about him to the BIA to try to compromise the decision that the BIA makes.
Of course they do. And if the BIA is successful, then that would be wonderful. He would be released. And if the BIA decision is not successful, then you have a choice of allowing the deportation or fighting it in federal court with some sort of habeas corpus petition that they're illegally holding a prisoner against the law simply because he had ineffective assistance of counsel, and as a result of that, everything that resulted because of his ineffective assistance of counsel was a violation of the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah, and they're not taking the children into consideration because Jean saw the product of not having a father. I can't raise him to be a man.
Yeah, right now, though, it's a legal constitutional argument. And the legal constitutional argument, what you're saying is absolutely correct. But under the law as it stands now, it's a legal constitutional argument. Was he given a fair hearing? If he was given a fair hearing, then so be it. If he wasn't given a fair hearing, and I would argue that a lawyer that was supposed to show up to court who doesn't show up to court, that's pretty unfair, because that's what happened. And if he wasn't given a fair hearing, then he would be entitled to a new hearing where they would consider his family and his children and his life here in the United States.
And even, let's just say this doesn't work out. This again goes to talk about prosecutorial discretion. You don't want to deport these kind of people because basically he is doing what he's supposed to do. These are the kind of people that contribute to the United States and make it a better place. And so it's really unfortunate for one crime that basically was committed so long ago, whether it was committed or not, it doesn't matter. It was over 30 years ago. To me, it just doesn't make sense. It goes to show why the immigration laws need to be rewritten. It's so inflexible sometimes. I mean, because basically it's hard to get around sometimes the legality of these statutes, the way it's written. And even if he tried to get a pardon, I know we were talking about that before, the pardon wouldn't work because the way the laws have been written, and the BIA, the Board of Immigration Appeals, has stated that, hey, it's not applicable for drug cases, controlled substances.
Pardons don't prevent deportation in a drug case.
And over 30% of people deported now basically are because of drug offenses.
Right.
It's unreal.
And they're going and the trend is to legalize drugs.
Right.
So I mean it's crazy. So Squeeze, I know there's a petition out there for people who want to help this family. what is this petition, and how do we find this petition, and where do we sign on, and where is this petition going? Maybe Janae can give us a little information about that.
Can you expound on that a little bit for us?
Josiah started a petition. It was going to the immigration field director's office. It's going to people in Congress. It's at change.org. He created a little hashtag so it can be easy to get to. You can just type in www.freej.org, or you can go to change.org and type in his full name, Jean Montrevil, and you see the petition. As I said earlier, he created the petition on Sunday by himself. No help. I didn't even get a chance to proofread it. And he has over 6,000 supporters.
That's great.
Squeeze.
And we're not giving up.
All right. What do you want to say to everyone watching and listening outside of this?
I want everyone to know that immigrant rights are human rights, and we have to not allow what's going on with number 45 affect on. We can allow number 45 to determine what America is. He's not an example of America. America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's obviously he's a racist. He has issues, and I just pray to God he get impeached quick.
Okay.
Because he's destroying families.
All right. And with that said, I'm quite sure by now you have caught all the expletives and the jargons and the words that the president used last night and the language that he used last night. What do you have to say about that?
I heard it this morning because I was so tired last night. I try not to watch the news because, another leader got detained yesterday also. So I was there for him and his family. But my ex-husband, he's Haitian. He's very smart. We have mixed children, and they're very smart. Even after Josiah got his brain tumor removed, he was able to get into Brooklyn Tech High School, which is one of the top high schools in the world. So the stuff that he says about Haitians, I don't pay it any mind. The stuff that he says about everyone else, I don't pay that any mind. It's just he's just showing how ignorant he is.
Okay, gotcha. Well said, well put. Brad?
Well, I think you're on certainly doing everything that we would be doing for you. I can't think of anything else that we can suggest at this moment. Short of maybe, I don't know if the lawyer in Virginia who's asking for a pardon, I don't know if there's such a thing as vacating convictions in Virginia. That would be helpful rather than the pardon. That would be the only thing, but you would need a Virginia lawyer for that. Short of that, I think you're doing everything you can. You're bringing it to the attention of the world, and congratulations on that. It's a very, very, very sad story. You are making the right motions to reopen based on ineffective assistance of counsel. You're doing all the right things. I just hope it's enough. We all pray for you. We pray for you, and we pray for everybody in this situation.
And thanks for being on the show.
And thank you for coming on and being strong.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So, Janae Quater.
There you have it.
There you have it. Shannon?
I mean, listen, I've done this since 2004, and I've said to so many different people, this has been like the worst year that I've seen, where people, the officers, the judges would exercise some kind of compassion for these kind of cases. It's no longer happening because they're being given orders not to. And it's unfortunate. And basically, I think when you talked about humanizing the story, that's what we need to do more of. Basically having these kind of stories to see you're breaking up families for something that doesn't make sense. Who gets 33 years for your first crime?
Drug offense.
It's just unreal.
Yeah.
And then after you serve 11 years of it, and then you never leave the country, and now they want to come back years later to say, I'm going to deport you. It's a penalty that is just unfair.
You know what his mistake was? His mistake was being a stupid kid and walking into an apartment that maybe he knew drugs were there. Who knows?
I argue.
Okay? Maybe he knew drugs were there. We're not saying the guy's an angel. But but the punishment's got to fit the crime.
Right.
The punishment's got to fit the crime. And you being a stupid kid and walking into a room where there's known drugs, whether you were part of it or not, You're stupid. Yeah, you shouldn't have been there. Yeah, you deserve to be arrested under the law. But you don't deserve to have happen to you in life what happened, which is a 33-year jail sentence, of which you did 11 years, come out, go through this whole merry-go-round of immigration trying to deport you, allowing them to have, you have a family here, children here, you turn your life around. I mean, I give the guy credit being in jail for 11 years, starting a business, having a family, having 4 children, being what looks like a fantastic father. The children are all there in support of him. And then turn around and rip this father away from his family, and he's the supporter.
And this was what I argue all the time, a youthful indiscretion. I mean, this is something a young child, a young kid did something, young man. It's unfortunate, but he's learned his lesson. And that's what the criminal justice system is all about. You're trying to basically, you're reforming, you're rehabilitating, you're also punishing, but you want people to learn from their mistakes. And at this point, he is being penalized over and over again. And not just him, his family.
You know, their one mistake is that this motion for ineffective assistance of counsel should have been done a decade ago. I don't, you know, and unfortunately sometimes is you know, when you're in these situations, you put your head in the sand and you're like, I'm not going to do anything because they're not bothering me right now. So I'm scared to do anything and lift my head up and show my face. But their error was not doing anything 10, 15 years ago to try to reopen this case.
And what's sad is that the stay of removal that we were discussing about previously, usually when you would file it in these kind of cases where he has a son who had a brain tumor, had some kind of issue, basically they would routinely approve those and allow them to stay for a year, 2 years, and now they're not approved.